Next is about input. So in Python, we can ask the user to give us the input. It means the input can be anything. Or let's say in this function, I define the name, Bernardo. I define the name of. I define the name Park, Korea, Lee, Seoul. But sometimes the users want to give anything, okay? Something that we do not know, something that may be different from our understanding. So we can use the word input. So the input function is used to take the user input as a string from the keyboard. String. Okay. String means a character or number that lies in between double quote. Or it can be also in the single quote. For example, I want to ask the user to input its. So I can make the comment input and then enter your its. So when I run this, Python file will give you enter your its. So this is the question. And whenever you put any value, for example, 25, my age is 25, then 25 will be saved into the variable its. So when you run this, then you will get 25. So if you see this one, what happened? Is this a number? This is a string. Why? Why is it a string? You can see that this use single quote. So every value with single quote or double quote, it is considered as string. So the input is always stored as string, even if the user enter a number. So you may give question. So what is the difference between string and numbers? Actually, we can see this is a number. Then you can do something like this. If it is a string, x plus 15. What is the result? X plus 15. The result is error. So even though we know that this is number, but because the data format is different, we cannot do the simple calculation. So we need to convert the data into number before we do the calculation. For example, we can do to change it into integer. When we change this into integer, then we can change the result. Now, integer x means the value from the variable x, which is 25, and because this is a string, we want to change it into numbers. Once it is changed to numbers, then we can do the mathematical operation. So that's the difference between string and numbers. So numbers, we can have two types of numbers, integer and we have float. So integer means number which is without decimal. Integer is numbers without decimal. For example, 5 or 1 to 8 or maybe 2, 5, 6. Okay, so numbers without decimal. but float is the real numbers. So you can have, for example, 37.5, or maybe the number is 100.251467, something like this. So Python distinguishes between integer and float. Now, if we want to take the numerical input, so if you need integer or float, convert the input using integer or float. Okay, this is the one that I explained to you. Int means I want to change from string into integer. If I change this one to float, then I will get the value 40.0. So there is a decimal on it. Now I can make the input. So the input will be the same. Input, enter your age. Now I want to change this result into integer. So the value will be in the numbers. Now let's say I will input 23 for my age. Now the age will be 23. So you can do anything with your numbers. For example, this is just a calculation. Enter your age in years. So I have the formula. So we want to check the maximum heart rate. So this is just another formula. 206.9 minus 0.67 multiplied by the age. Because the age is already a number, then we can do this calculation. If the age is still string without integer, then it will be error. So the target is this formula. So your target fat burning rate is this. So if I run this, then I will have interior it's in years, so 23. Okay, then your target fat burning heart rate is 124 point something something. Because we have the INT, then we can do this formulation. Okay. Question. Write a Python code. Ask the user to input a number. Check the number whether it is positive or negative. No, a positive number is higher than 0. A negative number is lower than 0. If the input is 0, then we write 0. Other than that, we write positive or negative. Can you make the Python code? Ask the user to get a number. Then you need to input a number. So the number should be a number. Then we need to change this into int. After we get the numbers, then we need to check whether the number is positive or negative. How? We need to use the condition. So we need to use if. If the number is higher than 0, then print positive. How about if it is not? If it is not, then let's do with elif. If num is less than 0, then print negative. Is it enough? we need to have one more condition, which is else. The else will be 0. Because if the number is higher than 0, it is positive. If the number is less than 0, it is negative. And if it is not both, then it is 0. So input the number higher, then it is positive. That's okay. Input the number -2, okay, it is negative. Input a number 0, and it is 0. Okay. So I hope that by now you already refreshed with some of the Python code. Okay. The next thing is, yeah, I would like to continue with some more advanced code. Later on, when you learn the data structure and the algorithm code, you will see some of the code contain exception. Exception means when you have errors or when you have the input which is not in the condition, then yeah, you need to do something. So suppose we only need to get the positive number. Negative number is not allowed. So in this case, I give the condition. If positive, then print positive. If it is negative, then print negative. But in some cases, I do not want to get the negative number. So if there is a negative number, stop the program. Or when you get the negative number, give some alarm and as a 12. So we can use the try except. So try except it is a comment in Python. In the try section, we will have a statement. For example, I want to input a number. X is the variable where we will save the number. If X is less than 0, so it means if the value is negative, then we need to raise the value error. Raise means we need to show the error message. So this is the error message, value error, negative number is not allowed. So we need to show this error message to the user. Negative number is not allowed. And then we want to print what the user input. F is just a function to indicate that what you print, what you show, and what you input is in the X. Yeah, this is the numbers. And then we will show that the error message is from this one. So we will show the error message here. So let's see. If I run this, enter a number. I will enter -1 because the error message will appear when it is negative. So the error is, I will bring this one. Because this is already raised the error, so it will not print this one. Negative number is not allowed. So let's say if I input a number 5, then it will show you entered 5. When the value is less than 0, you will go to this error And then when you go to this error, you will go to the except is on the value error. If it is not error, then you will print this. You enter the value X. So there's another kind of example for exception. For example, I want to ensure that a division, a division. Let's say I have a number A divided by B. In the mathematics, when you have this kind of division, B cannot be 0. Okay? So we want to avoid 0. So a division procedure can work when the denominator is not 0. So this division can work when the B is not 0. So whenever you create a problem, now let's make a function. A function divide number a comma b. Now let's suppose a is the nominator and b is the denominator. The denominator cannot be 0. So I would like to make the condition. Right. If b equals to 0, then let's raise another kind of error. So this is another error. We call it zero division error. So the zero division error means I would like to give a message you cannot divide by 0. So this error message, actually you can have several kind of errors. You can have value error, you can have zero division error. So if it is not this one, then you can show the result. Okay. Now, if it is zero division error, then let's show here. The error is you cannot divide by 0, and the result will be none or nothing. Because whenever you divide a with 0, then it will be infinite. So infinite is not possible. Then we will show the none. Finally means whether you do this one, we will execute this finally. So you can see this block will always execute. Now let's see the example how we can run this. So I would like to enter the numerator. So the A. Maybe I will do 5 and I will enter the denominator. Let's say 2. Okay, 5 divided by 2. The result is 2.5. And then we have the execution completed. So finally will be printed. Execution completed. Now let me run again. Now enter the numerator 5 and then the denominator. Let's say I want to divide with 0. Okay. You can see the result error. You cannot divide by 0. And then execution completed. Okay. So you cannot divide by 0. It is from the exam. And then print execution completed in the finally section. So by using this command, what is the difference with the common error message in Python? For example, I have 5 divided by 0. And This is also the same. It shows division by 0. In this case, it's also the same. You can show the errors. So what is the difference? The difference is when you use this error message from Python, it means your program stops directly. So you cannot continue to the next step. But if you define your errors like this one by the try and except, then you can still move on to the next procedure without stopping. Okay. So it is important when you design your program, when you design an algorithm, you need to find what is the possible error in your algorithm. If you know that, okay, we cannot divide with 0, make this one at the first time so the programs can run well when it finds the number with 0. If you cannot do this one, then your algorithm will stop running. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic one that I want to teach you. So there are still many other concepts to learn. And due to the time limitation, we only learn the basic one. So if you need more concepts of programming, please refer to videos. I can recommend you some videos for you if you want to learn. Yeah. But since many of you joined the computer programming, I think there is no issue. But if you need some videos, let me know. I will recommend you the videos that you can watch to learn the basic Python. Okay. Okay, any questions? Let me continue with the very basic object oriented. So most of the things in our data structure and algorithm class is really about the object oriented. So I separate this one from the basic Python because I think I need to emphasize more how we can do the object oriented well. So in this section, I will teach you what is the object oriented basic and then what is the principles of the object oriented and then what is the abstract data type. So in the basic of the object oriented, or sometimes we call it OOP. So the robustness is the issue. When we create the object-oriented programming, software should handle unexpected inputs properly. So this is what I explained to you before. We can use the try except. Okay. So we can use the try except and finally. So when you have this try except finally, it means if there is unexpected input, we can handle it. And the other things in the object oriented is about the adaptability. Software must evolve with changing conditions. Maybe now you have the standard. Let's say in the quality standard in the company. For now, the standard is less than 10% of the production. But because we are now becoming an international company, so the standard becomes 5%. Okay. So the standard becomes lower than the previous one, for example. Then using the OOP, you do not need to change all the codes. You just need to change the value. So how you can adapt with some changing condition. So you don't need to change all the codes. You just change the parameter maybe. And the code should be reusable or reusability. So code should be reusable across different applications. So if your code can be used in the Google Colab, so it should be also available in Jupyter. It should be also available not only in Windows, but it should be also available in iOS. So if the code is reusable, then it means this valid for the OP. So in the OOP or the object-oriented programming, the keyword is object. It's object in a program. We call it, it is an instance of a class. So the word class, it is to define the class name. And then the word def is to define the method. So in the example that I gave you previously, we have the word def. Def means function. So let's make a very simple class. So this is the class diagram. And I have the class name, this is person. And I have one method, which is say hi. So the above example shows a class of a person. I can define class. I can define the method. So let me make a new file. Actually, let's have a new file. And I will make this name as OOP with 2. OOP. Okay. Now let's make the file like the PowerPoint. I have a class and the class name is a person. And then I have one function. This is say hi. So let's just use one parameter, which is self. And then I want to print how are you? So whenever you make a class, you need to have one parameter, we call it self. This is the class person. And then I want to make one new method, which is hi, say hi. And then when I call the say hi, it will print how are you. As I mentioned to you, object is an instance. Object is an instance. It means object is one new data, or object is one new row in terms of the data. I can make a data, for example, P1. So the person 1, it will be the instance from the class person. So I can call the P1 and then I can check what are the methods that are available for the P1. For example, now I know the method is say hi. So I can do, if you want, you can to the P1 here, and then push the button, and then click. If you click, you can see some options. The P1 here, it is from the class person. And in the class person, we have one method, which is say. That's why we can see say as function. So if you want to click say hi as a function, okay, because it is a function, please remember that you need to put bracket. And you will see point. Thus, the method here is from the class person, and then the statement is to print point. Now, if I have another instance, let's say I have person 2. Person 2 is an instance from the class person. I have another person, for example, person 3. This is also another instance or another data from the class person. And because we still have only one method, we can call the person 2 say hi. We can also call the person 3 say hi. Something like this. So every person can do with the method that we define in the class. Okay. So this is one example of the class dot person. So later on, yeah, we will learn more. So we can have the person object. It means the person itself. And the class definition includes the instance variables. The instance variable means we can have the data members. So now let me just keep it simple without the data members and methods, or we call it the member functions or functions that the object can execute. So in the class diagram, you will see the class name. The class name is the person, and the data member, now it is empty. And then the methods means something that you can use maybe to print or to calculate or other things. Okay, so this is the code. This is the Python code, and this is the class diagram to represent the code. So whenever you create an instance, okay, when you create P1, P2, P3, so you can just think that this is the first data. Let's say I have a table, so the P1 is the person 1. Let's say I have P2, so it is the person 2. If I have P3, then it is the person 3, and so on. So if we have 10%, then we have P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6 until P10. And it is we have 10 instances, or we have 10 objects, or we have 10 persons. And then whenever we call the method, we need to use dot. Dot means we have the person name is P1 or the object name is P1. So P1 dot say hi. Then the result will be how are you? Okay, so this class, okay, we got it the class in OOP. It is the primary means of abstraction. So if you want to create later on in your project, let's say I have a truck. Okay, how many trucks do you have? Oh, I have 10 trucks. then you can create one class of truck. And then in the Python classes, yeah, every data is an instance of a class. And methods means the behavior shared by all instances. And blueprint means class acts as a template for object. So we call this is the class diagram. It is the blueprint. If we have this blueprint, then we can do with other things. And attributes means we can save the state information for its instance. So later you will know what is the meaning by fields or instance variables or the data members. And in Python, we will have the self-identifier. Like you see, we use self. So self means whenever you have a when you create an object, then this object will refer to that particular object. So if you have P1, so it refers to the self of P1. If you have person 2, then it is the self of person 2. If you have person 3, then it is the self of person 3. So you need to put self whenever you create a class. So self in Python represent the instance of a class, and instance variables, its object maintain its own state. And whenever you do the method invocation, you need to use self. So we will do more with this one. So this is more complicated. When you have the class diagram, you can have the class name. The class name is the person. The data member, for example, the person will have name and the person will have age. So this is the data. And the methods, for example, I want to know the name. I want to know the age. So I want to set the name and the age and so on. So we call this is methods. Okay. So we distinguish the class diagram into three: class name, data member, and methods. Okay, I think I will stop here. So I will continue on the next class to discuss about the object oriented. Any questions, comments?